It's been crazy, right? Like, I follow your Instagram and stories and whatnot, and you seem to be managing to get in like a fair bit of everything every day, but it must be getting monotonous just doing your 6 miles and your every day, and there's no jiu-jitsu, nothing to teach, nothing to.
Yeah, it's good. I'm glad I have a treadmill. I'm glad I have weights at home that I can get that stuff in, but it is awful. The first like 2, 3, 4 weeks weren't that bad, and then after that I'm like, I'm going crazy. Like, it was helping me manage before. I'm going crazy at this point.
Yeah.
I ended up being able to get in some like striking classes with one of my old coaches, which has helped, but it's like twice a week. So during that time I'm so happy right after, but then I'm like, the rest of the week I'm sitting there like twiddling my thumbs. I'm like, I don't really know what to do.
I was like that. I really enjoyed it at the beginning, and it's starting to get to the point now where it's a bit tough. I want to get out and see some people and do some training, and I was thankful for it at the beginning, and now I'm like, come on.
I've decided I hate running as well.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
that's not good for me.
Yeah, but Nick, you're a big guy, Nick. You're over 100 kilos. Running's not easy, mate.
It's not easy on the ankles and knees, you know.
You're no spring chicken anymore, Nick. Welcome everybody to another isolation edition of the CGA podcast. I'm here again with my co-host Nick Daines, and also we've got our special guest on here, current brown belt no-gi world champion Elisabeth Clay. How are you, Elisabeth?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you guys?
Yeah, awesome. As good as we can be during the isolation, that is.
Yeah.
So, how have you been? What's training been looking like since the lockdown? We had a little discussion about this just before we started, but let's hear it.
Yeah. I do about 6 miles a day. I weightlift every day, every other day or every day. I try to do yoga once a day, and then trying not to go crazy. And then about twice a week, I've been trying to get in some striking sessions, but that's just been recently, so it's rough.
So the striking sessions, are they just stuff just to get some activity in, to do some exercise, or are you looking to kind of do some more striking, potentially do some MMA?
I've been striking on and off training for almost the whole time I've been training jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Not necessarily looking forward to go MMA, but I really enjoy striking. The only reason I stopped for a while is actually because of my knee injury. The twisting hurt it really bad. So yeah, just a little extra cardio right now though.
A fellow knee injury. What did you do to your knee?
Oh, that one. So I tore my PCL back in 2017, right before ADCC. So I was going to ADCC at 17. I qualified at 16, and then like a month before, I heard it pretty bad. It'd been bugging me about a year, but it was just some bursitis. You know, every athlete deals with bursitis. It hurts. You go get it checked out. They tell you, be careful with it. No big deal. But I tore that PCL about 4 weeks before training. I got my left leg, or my right leg crossed up over my left leg, got pushed back on it, and it just popped. Oh. And I was like, You know what? Me being me, I think at the time I was barely 17. Like, I turned 17 like maybe 2 months before. I was like, I'm good. I'm just gonna we're gonna keep training. I'll toss some ice on it later. I got no issue. Then I got someone else later that night decides to pop up on it, and it hurts. And I'm still same thing. I'm like, yeah, that hurts. It doesn't feel right, but like, I'll take care of it after ADCC. Like 4 weeks, I'll take care of it. It's only 4 weeks. I can make it 4 weeks. Yeah, I did not make it 4 weeks. I couldn't walk on it. Oh. I'm tapping to like. I'm in lockdown and I'm having to tap because my knee's popping out. That was, that one was a rough recovery. I think I was out of competition for 7 or 8 months on that one.
Yeah, that's a bad one. Yeah, I tore my ACL, and that's been 3 years and it's still not the same. It's still not right. So yeah, it's they're brutal and it's painful as well. But I was very similar. I was like, I'll take care of it later. Like once it started healing, I was like, it's all right now. It'll be all right. And then,
you didn't really do much rehabbing though, Sam, on your knee, did you? You were just like, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be all right. You'll get better later, and it didn't.
Yeah, no.
That's the thing with jiu-jitsu, isn't it, though? I think with jiu-jitsu, anytime you hurt anything, the main thing is like going, oh, well, I can still move and sort of lie down, so I think I can still do jiu-jitsu. Like, and no one wants to stop doing jiu-jitsu, whatever happens to them.
Yeah. And I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to stop training. I was like, oh, I'm enjoying myself now. I was like a white belt at the time as well. I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'll be absolutely fine. And yeah, just carried on. So bad.
Yeah, that's me with every injury. I'm like, I'm fine. You just want to separate your AC joint? Just pop it right back in. I'm good. Dislocated the other shoulder. I'm good. Just put it back in real quick. I'll put some ice on it, and then I'll go to competition class. Or like I've broken my foot before, and then I'm like, I'm good. I just got to get some tape. I'll tape that stuff in place. If I tape it enough, it'll stay right in place. And then I'll just make sure I don't put too much weight on it, and I'll take care of it later. As long as I can tape it up and it stays in place for this class, that's all I need to worry about.
Classic jiu-jitsu competitor, that is. Yeah. Take it up, it'll be fine. You just put some tape on it.
I had, when you're not used to the mats, and I was training in Copenhagen, and the mats were like the really, really rough, harsh judo mats, and I took all the skin off the tops of my feet, like when you get like that, and the soft skin on my beautiful feet all came off, and that was like on day one, and so I had to tape like loads of. And it was like, I was like, oh, I'm really feeling this pain. It's not a massive injury, but it just shows like how other things can get in the way. It was ridiculous. Taping my foot all day just because of the skin just come off, literally. Everyone else is looking at me like, what's wrong with you?
Hold on, Nick. Are you comparing a broken foot to a bit of skin off your?
Well, I think for me that's a pretty serious.
I think the small stuff hurts way more than the big stuff.
You're right. I've done
the
that.
Little stuff like your little pinky or something that you're like, man, that hurts. Where's your knees? Your foot's basically backwards, and you're like, nah, I'm good.
I got a screw in that finger that got caught in a gi before, and that just snapped the knuckles. So I had to screw the knuckle back. But the ambulance guy at the competition was just like, nah, it's fine. So I didn't go and see the doctor for 2 weeks. When all the swelling went down, and it was like excruciatingly painful. They were like, "Oh yeah, you snapped your knuckle." I was like, "Oh right, great." I was in a cast like that for three.
Like the penguin, from.
Yeah. So pinkies.
So Elisabeth, give us a little breakdown. How did you get started in jiu-jitsu? Tell us where you got started, and go from there.
Yeah. Okay. So I always did gymnastics growing up. My entire family did. So I did that from like 18 months to like 10 or 11.
Yeah.
So always pretty competitive in sports, and had to quit that. And I was like, well, I got to do something. And I was like, figure skating, diving. Like jiu-jitsu was not even on my mind. But my brother was like, older brother, he's like, I want to do MMA. Like, the basic, like, just, I want to go beat people up, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
Dude never stepped foot in the gym, though. He never stepped foot in the gym. But I was like, yeah, that kind of sounds like fun. Maybe I'll give it a try. Like, I'll do this jiu-jitsu stuff, whatever this is. Yeah. And, of course, at this time, like, I don't know anything. What do I know about martial arts? Like, karate, wear a gi, whatever. I don't know. Go in there. I'm like, whatever. We'll give it a try. I don't know what it is. And did one class, and I was like, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Yeah. That's it. And I said, like, immediately, I started training 5 days a week. One of the days, because I didn't actually have a ride-in, I have to go with some of my siblings, because when they went into college, I'd have to get up at, like, 6 a.m. to make it in for, like, a 4:30 p.m. class. Because that was the only way for me to get into town to go train. So I was homeschooled. I pack up all my school books, get up at 6 a.m., do all my school by myself. And then the college wasn't far from the gym. Either I'd get a ride or I'd walk at 12, walk into the gym from the college, which is under a mile, but doing whatever what I could to train.
Yeah. Wow. So what made you stop gymnastics then? Because you said you had to quit gymnastics. What stopped you?
Yeah, there just wasn't. So I'm originally from Texas. I now live in Alaska. Yeah. So Texas, you get a lot more hours. They actually give you what you need to be a competitive gymnast. when I moved up here, they won't give you the hours. Like, they'll give you like 20 hours when for that level, you should be getting like 80 or 90 hours a week.
Right.
And they just won't, like, they'll be like, oh no, like, you're fine with that. You can't make that on there. So I was there, I was like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting my body through this stress if I can't be any good at it, because you're not giving me enough time?
Right.
I don't want to go compete at something and like just place.
Yeah.
Like, that's no fun. Why would I want to do that?
So that kind of, sorry, Nick.
Oh no, I was just laughing.
Oh, okay. So that competitive nature, do you think that was kind of, have you always been like that? Just because, or was it gymnastics that kind of brought it out for you, or have you always just wanted to always win?
I've always been like that. The reason I started so young is because my older siblings did gymnastics.
Yeah.
They had to put me in the class because I was always trying to do stuff. Or I was, after like at 18 months, I'm in like the little toddlers class, right?
Yeah.
I ended up by like 2 or 3, I was in not the class above that. I was in like either the one right above that or the one even above that, because I was just always, I'd ask the coaches to help me with stuff, or on off time, I'd be like, hey, can you help me with my back handspring? Hey, can I do this? Like, even the coaches that were like, they didn't like the kids and they would work with only the older ones, they would help me because I was always asking and I was trying to help, and I wasn't like messing around. I always go like, I wanted to do everything perfect from a super, super young age.
Yeah.
Part of that probably has to do with having 3 older brothers and an older sister. So I have 6 brothers overall. So
Wow.
that probably has something to play with it too.
Definitely.
But honestly, I think I was just kind of born like that.
Yeah.
Just always been super, super competitive.
It's true, isn't it? Something, I've got 2 older brothers myself, and there's something, you're always competitive with them. If nobody else, you kind of learn a bit of competitiveness from just trying to beat your older siblings, or even your younger siblings if you've got those.
Yeah.
But you're still trying to beat your older brother up.
Yeah, I'll never be as good as that guy. Because he's as competitive as I am, and he won't let me win anything.
It always amuses me that you started jiu-jitsu first, Sam, and then you introduced Ian to jiu-jitsu, and then Ian got his black belt like 2 years this year ago, and then they surpassed you in your
No, I taught him everything he knows as well.
Yeah, in the first week, and then he starts teaching you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. He hadn't even started yet, and he showed me some stuff.
Yeah. So the transition then to jiu-jitsu in the mentality for competition stuff would have been super easy for you then, really. I think like that kind of makes perfect sense for that mentality, and competitiveness, and then the type of sport it is, and the competitions around, like, lots of traveling, lots of big venues, so you must have slotted into that, like, right, perfect.
I still always get super nervous. Like, that's just me though. But yeah, as far as that goes, it was pretty easy. Actually, the hardest thing for me transitioning to jiu-jitsu was probably people, you get told you overtrain a lot, which for me, I was like, what do you mean I'm overtraining? I'm not training enough. I'm only training like 10 or 12 hours a week. Like that's nothing. Like your little 8-year-olds in gymnastics are training more than that.
Yeah.
So for me, that was probably the hardest part was, and I still train a lot, but especially like early on, people were like, no, you're training too much, especially for your age. Like, you just need to and it probably has something to do with the gym where I was at too, and just the area, because I'm sure like if I go to like AOJ or something as like a 12-year-old, it's not how it's going to be.
Yeah.
But as far as like the gym where I was at, it was kind of, no, you need to like chill out. Like, you're just a kid. If you train like that, you're going to burn out. And I'm here like, this is what I've grown up in. Like, I've been doing these kind of hours when I was like 3. So I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm training too much. Like, this is nothing. So that one, I would have like people, and I'm always like, what? I'm fine. I'm okay. And they're like, no. You're gonna burn out if you keep training like that. I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll see. I'll look at me in 5 years and we'll see. Maybe I quit training. Maybe I haven't.
Yeah. So have you ever experienced anything like that, like fatigue or burnout or anything like, or are you still good training? Because you keep up quite a high training schedule. I know you're still quite young. Are you 19 now?
Yeah, 19.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's if I was 19, I could probably do a little bit more. But now at 35, I struggle 3 or 4 days a week to train. So do you feel any kind of burnout or anything, or do you still feel like you could keep up high level training? Or how do you manage it is a better question, should I ask. How do you manage that training, those hours?
A lot of it for me, like, you're going to feel the fatigue. That's just how it is. There's no getting around the fatigue, but a lot of it I think is trying to switch it up, because I think a lot of like not feeling the burnout is not the monotony is what really gets you when you start feeling the burnout, at least in my experience. So I try to switch stuff up, whether I'm like, I'll add in more wrestling, or maybe the gi's just like, I've just been training the gi too hard. Obviously, like coming up to world, something like that, you're not going to do that. But if it's just normal training, like maybe I'm training the gi too much, I'll start throwing in some no gi stuff, because maybe it'll kind of spice stuff up to make it a little bit more interesting, so I can keep training. Because I get to the gym at 10 a.m. and I roll for 2 hours, and then I'll do the noon class, and then usually I'll go home and either I lift or I come back and I teach a kids class, and then I'll do the Muay Thai, and then I'll do the night class, and then I'll do a competition class, and then I'm going home, like, so.
Wow.
But I think it's important. Yeah, I think it's important to add in and just kind of try and change stuff up. You're gonna feel the fatigue a lot. Like, I'll go through weeks and I'm like, I don't want to do this right now. Like, I don't want to go. But a lot of that, like, is just the discipline of going, no, I need to do this. This is me being lazy right now. Not lazy, but just I don't feel like doing it. It doesn't matter. I need to keep pushing it, versus feeling like, no, my body's done right now. And even then, I'll probably still train all the way through the week, but I'll probably take it easier on like Saturday or Sunday.
Right. So you still push hard, still train hard, even though you're feeling fatigued. You don't back off or take it easier with like have an easier session, maybe no sparring or anything like that. You just push through.
Unless I'm feeling like, there's some days where you can just tell, like, I'm not just a little tired, like I'm done. I'm completely done for right now. Those days I'll probably still go through and drill lightly in the night. Like, I'll still go in early in the morning and train, but at night I'll probably take it a little bit easier to let me relax. Usually that's Fridays. If I'm gonna take it easy, usually Fridays will be easier, like at night. And that class up here is usually more white belts, so I don't feel so bad. I'll kind of go through and I'll pair up with one of the white belts and just kind of work them through stuff. And I'll roll a little bit, but I don't roll as much. But usually those are the days if I feel like I can't push through. I can't do it. Otherwise, I just kind of, I'm like, I can sleep tomorrow. And obviously, a lot of that probably has to be only being 19 and almost 20, but 19. I'm a baby still. And just being like, nah, I can push through it.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel like, I wasn't like that at 19, so.
Yeah. That's a lot of variation in the training as well every day, isn't it? So I don't know, like that's a huge amount of of physical output every day. But do you find, because you're doing the different disciplines, different kind of body movements and stuff, does that help with the jiu-jitsu as well? Do you think, like the whole thing, like, just helps your body doing that? Or do you think it's just harder to?
I think it helps, at least like mentally. I don't know if it's mentally or physically, but I feel better because I'm not, it's like sitting there writing the same thing over and over again. It gets boring. If you have to do one subject in school, it gets really, really, really boring. And like doing your English isn't necessarily going to help your math. And you might not love English, but it gives you something different to kind of switch it up. Then when you come back to it, you're not staring at the exact same thing over and over and over again. And that's how I view it, especially with jiu-jitsu being my career. It's easy for it to stop being that fun thing. And when it stops being that fun thing, you need to find something that is. But I don't want to go, like, I think what a lot of people make the mistake of is they go, well, I'm not having fun anymore, I shouldn't train. Or I'm not having fun anymore, I'm going to go hang out with friends and do something that detracts from what I'm doing. Which, instead of doing that, find something that helps with it, but that you don't look at it as a job or as a career. I have to be perfect at this. Like, the Muay Thai for me, I want to do it right, but I can still have fun with it because I'm not doing that as my job. And it's still in the gym, it's still with the same people, I'm still being physically active, and it's still helping with everything, and it's not taking away from what I'm doing. It's energy output, but I can justify it as it's extra cardio and I'm having fun. So for me, that helps a lot.
That's like a very good description of like we've talked about this area like a lot with people. We had a guy on, Callum, who runs a charity in the UK called Sporting Minds UK, which is a mental health charity for athletes, young athletes who potentially either are released from their club or injured and can't continue their sport anymore, that kind of thing, but that was their job. And he spoke about when they're grooming the sports people, when they're young coming through, they're saying, right, you love football or cricket or baseball or basketball, whatever it is, you love that, and you want to be a professional, but you should have something else that you can enjoy as well, because you're not going to enjoy this forever. They're going to be years, weeks, days, whatever, where you hate it and you don't want to do it because of the pressures around it. Like, this is your job, your livelihood, your living. And sometimes you've got to do stuff for that, but it's not going to be that super fun all the time thing. And you need something else that you can then go and relax. That's still so that sounds exactly like what you're doing. Like, I completely get it. Jiu-jitsu, I mean, we were talking to Howdle the other day, was like, he felt kind of burnt out from teaching jiu-jitsu for 10 years and competing and this and that. He's like, yeah, like it gets monotonous, because you've got to do other stuff in between. Otherwise, it's very, very samey, in the same place and the same thing and the same stuff you're teaching, and then people come, people go. So it's a mental thing, I think, that you need to have other outlets where you can relax and still doing something fun with the friends you might train jiu-jitsu with as well. But the Muay Thai and stuff is just much more as a hobby as such, rather than the job. Is that so? That really helps you then to like take away from the jiu-jitsu and then still keep like the enjoyment level as high as you can, I guess.
It does for me, for sure. And that's just something that I figured out, because I was like, when I first got into lifting, to help my jiu-jitsu, it was so much fun because it was so new. And then it hit the point that it was like, well, now I have to tweak it so much to where it's completely for my jiu-jitsu, that while it's fun, it's not the same as it first was, because now it's just like jiu-jitsu for me. It's accompanied right with it. It's something that I need to make my not make my jiu-jitsu better, but help my career, because being strong is important. And because of that, you put that same pressure on it as you do when you're training. And even though you love training, if you go get submitted when you're going hard with a blue belt when you're supposed to be a higher belt or something, you're going to get frustrated, especially like, man, I'm supposed to go compete at this level and win, and I'm not doing that. You're going to get frustrated. So when you put that same pressure on the lifting, it wasn't as much fun for me anymore. So I was like, well, maybe my knee's good enough now. It's been about a year, 2 years since I heard it. I think I can come back and do a little bit of striking. So I started doing a little bit of striking, and that it's helped a lot. And that's one of the only things I could do when my knee was still hurt. Couldn't do anything with the legs, but I could do my punches, and it helped a lot. I could do that. I could hold pads, and I could lift on everything but that leg. And that's the only thing that kept me sane at all during that time. And I think that's something that a lot of people overlook, is most things, yeah, your body gives out at some point, but 99% of it is all mental.
Yeah. And do you think it is that kind of like that mental discipline that you've got that keeps you from like, because when you train so much and you do all these competitions and it becomes your job, it's slightly different, isn't it? But staying disciplined and staying on the path is kind of knowing where the end goal is. Is that how you kind of keep going and not let yourself go, oh, do you know what? I'm done with this for now. I'm going to have a week off training.
Yeah, the discipline that's the only way I'll go. And my thing is, when I get back to the gym, I've gotten in at like, let's say I get in at like 11. If there's a 12 o'clock class, I'm there at the 12 o'clock class. I've had ones where I've flown. I get there at, I think class started at 6:30. I think I got there at like 5:30. So I did the 5:30 class. I slept while they were rolling because there was competition class. So I had half an hour. I took a half an hour nap. And of course, I'm a coach too. So I got the kids sitting there like poking me while I'm trying to sleep. And I got a picture of it on my Instagram, I think. I've got my gi over my head and I'm like this. And the kids kept like opening it because I don't know if they thought I was hurt or what was going on. And I'm like trying to nap, do competition class. And of course, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted before I even got there. But that's my, like, when I get there, I'm going to get back into training because it's so easy to be like, one day. And then it's super easy for it to be like, well, I've already taken off one day.
Yeah.
And then it just goes from there. And whether that's like you set time where it's like, I come back after a week and I'm training again. I come back after 2 days, whatever that is, you need to set that and then follow it because that's the easiest thing. And I'll do it while I'm still on my trip, while I'm still wherever I'm at. And I go, okay, this is what I'm doing when I come back. And obviously stuff's going to come up. You can't 100% follow to that. That's just part of life.
Yeah.
But that's what has helped me go. Cause after Worlds 2019, I have never, except for actually Euros that year, but that's because of the AC separation. I've never had a performance that bad in my entire career, ever. I had that performance and I went off and I was like, I'm done. I quit. I'm done. I'm done with this. This isn't for me. And come to find out, I figured out I actually have a slight heart issue, and that's what it was bugging me when I was competing. And I was like, I trained hard. I did everything to get my cardio in there. It's not my lungs that I'm feeling. I'm out there and I'm seeing spots. I can't feel my hands. I'm like, this just isn't meant for me. Like, this just isn't meant for me. I'm done. I quit. Texted everybody. I was like, I'm done. I'm not competing. I think I was signed up for a tournament. I think I was either signed up for it or I'd already bought tickets or I'd done something. And it was for nogi pans. And I was like, I'll do nogi pans and then I'm done. That's it. Yeah. I'm done competing. I'm done with this. I'm going to do something else. And it was not just like, oh, I'm done. I'm upset. Like, I was done. And I was like, but I'm going to keep training because I'm not going to go there and like give another bad performance like this. But go. And I was still all the way up until I think maybe like a week before nogi pans. I was like, after this, like, I'm done. I quit. This is stupid. And of course, once I figured, no, it was Vegas Open is what it was. And we figured out like a week before the Vegas Open that it was my heart that was acting up. And I was able to keep everything nice and chill and go compete. And then after I won, I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm back. I can keep training and competing.
So what's the issue? Sorry, what was the issue with your heart?
I think what it's called, it's like a irregular heartbeat.
Okay.
So what it is it'll like drop every 5th beat. And it doesn't happen all the time. But like if I go have a really, really hard, intense roll, and it sets it off, because it doesn't always set it off now because I've done some stuff to help with it, like certain things that I take and whatever. Yeah. But before when I would go have a really hard roll, if I was to come and just sit and not do anything, it would be in a normal rhythm like it should. But if I would just talk, it would start dropping every 5th beat. And it'll be okay when I'm sitting, but if I start trying to push through that, it would get to the point I was dizzy. I'd be in between comp class and there's a pole in the gym, and I would lean on the pole because I couldn't stand up and I was seeing spots. And then they call me and I'd go run and do it, and then I'd come back and I'd sit down because I couldn't feel my hands. I'm seeing spots, and it was not fun. It took about 2 months to figure out what was going on with my heart because it's a regular heartbeat. So it's not like they can just pick it up. Like if I go in for a scan, nothing shows up because I haven't done anything to trigger it. Yeah. So there's actually nothing they can do for it. Wow. I just take stuff to try and make it better, but like there's nothing they can do for it because I don't stay in it.
So did you find that like staying calm, like rather than was it like the competition nerves that kind of set it off, or is it staying calm kind of helps you stay level so you don't get that so much when you're competing? And how do you do it's really hard because you can't be too calm because then you don't go out there and compete well. So other than like taking the supplements, which there's certain supplements I take now, I got off of, I was actually on birth control, which I found out actually made it worse, at least for me, the one I was on. So got off of all that, started taking supplements to help with it, and
going there, and at the Vegas Open, a lot of it just I'll listen, same music and then motivational speaking, but a lot of it, instead of getting super, super pumped up, I kind of just sit there and try and like think over what I'm doing and stretch, but I don't hardly roll before I compete. I'll sit there, I'll stretch, I'll think about going through like all the different situations that could happen in the match, but I'm trying to like stay calm, envision walking on the mat and going so that you get that feeling, but stay calm, keep the heart like deep breath in, deep breath out, because once it's set off, it is so hard to get it like to calm down.
It must be, yeah, it must be.
And I can, but once it's set off, I can't compete the same because my heart's acting up. There's nothing I can do about it. So, but yeah, staying calm with it, but still trying to be in the zone. And it's definitely still a work in progress, but I didn't have any issues with it at all at Nogi World, which I was really, really happy about.
Yeah, awesome. So let's move on to that. Let's talk about the Nogi Worlds, because I mean, you didn't get your brown belt that long before you actually competed, right? And then you went in there and absolutely smashed it.
Yes. So I think I got my brown belt, I think like 3 weeks before, but I wasn't actually registered until like a week before the tournament.
Right.
Because I hadn't been a purple belt long enough. So I was registered a week before the tournament, and I was super, super excited for. That was one that I didn't think I was going to submit everyone. I mean, that was obviously the goal, but that performance, I went from having, and it was this last year, it was Gi Worlds that I had that bad performance at, that then going to Nogi Worlds and having that was, I think I actually said it in my Flow grappling interview. I was like, I went from this last Worlds, I was quitting, I was done. So I decided to push through it, and I just won double gold as a brown belt. It being here less than a month, being registered like a week, and all submissions too. So like you just gotta keep pushing. It's your time's coming, but jiu-jitsu's rough.
It is rough. It was the best outcome you could have had for a competition, really, isn't it? It's unbelievable. So how do you prepare for stuff like that? Because we've got some competitors at our gym, and it's very difficult to know. It's like sometimes they want to train a lot more, sometimes they want to train a lot less. Do you work on a specific game before you go in, kind of knowing exactly what you want to do before? I know you can't always control the outcomes, but you can control what you kind of try and achieve when you get on the mats. Is that what you kind of drill? Do you drill those specific moves like a game plan and then try and execute it when you get in there? Or do you just kind of go in there and see what happens?
I kind of go in there. I'd rather play guard, just because a lot of the girls, I'm so short for my weight division. I'm short, period. It doesn't even matter if I drop down a weight class. I'm 5'4". I'm short no matter where I'm at. So I don't want to play in those girls' guards. They're just too long. And a lot of people like to stall out or hold you there, and I'd rather not deal with it. So I try to play guard. That's my biggest thing. But honestly, from there, I just kind of, whatever happens. Like I like guillotines. I like straight ankle locks. I like doing arm bars, and I like omoplatas.
Yeah.
So from there, but I'm not like necessarily, I'm going to go out there and do this. I just kind of go out there. I'm trying to play guard, and from there, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And as far as training goes, the biggest thing for me is I try and keep the intensity up. So instead of like, you go out there and goof around, and you can still have those rolls, but when you go out there, like, I'm rolling hard this round, whether I'm going to try and take them down, whether I'm going to decide to jump guard this time or pull guard or whatever I'm doing, I'm rolling hard. So my amount of training doesn't really change that much. I pretty well keep the exact same training schedule as far as actual hours go throughout the whole all year long. But the only thing that I would really change is just necessarily like the intensity of all my rolls, and the fact that I'm going in there, like, I try to roll hard all the time, but I put an extra emphasis on it when I have big competitions coming up.
Like a different mindset, like you're going in there to like a specific mindset to win, I guess, like make that intensity really high before you. And
if we have like competition classes, that'll be the time that I'll take it. I'll put on my music just like I would before a competition. I'll try and do the exact same stretches, trying to get in that exact same mindset. When I go out there, like, they'll tell people in the gym if they're new, they're like, Liz is someone she's safe to roll with, but if she has a competition, like, she's not someone to mess with when she's in competition. She's going out, she's got a competition coming up. Like, if she asks you to roll, that's one thing, because she knows she's going to take it light, but right now, like, she's not rolling easy. She's got a competition in a month.
Yeah.
If you want to roll, she's not going to hurt you, but it's not going to be a fun roll.
Be a fun roll.
That's really interesting, because it's like part of the preparation, not just visualizing what, you know, the competition's going to be like when you're in it, but actually reenacting, or like acting through what you're going to do on the day, the stretching, the list, like that must make it an easier, like you know, you feel more comfortable, like you've been there before when you go to the competition that you're training for.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely does that. I mean, I don't know why this surprises people. I get the worst nerves. Like, I'll be shaking before I go out to compete, which I thought was just normal. And I had some people that are like, oh no, when you hit a certain belt, like, that'll stop. They used to tell me when I was a blue belt, and I was like, okay, like, maybe it'll stop. Hit purple belt. Nah, guys, I'm still shaking. Hit brown belt. Like, nah, I still shake before I go out and compete. So, like, I'm comfortable when I'm there, but I still get that crazy adrenaline dump. Like, that first match is always hard.
How do you manage that on the mats then when you're there? Do you just kind of, I guess the music helps. Is it like a routine that you have before you step on the mats? Do you do the same things, like trying to make it as familiar as possible so that you don't get so nervous that it's almost impossible you don't want to go?
Yeah. A lot of it, I keep the music on. A lot of people sit there and they'll take the music on and off and on and off and on and off. And the issue I find with that is you hear the crowd then, and that makes you more nervous. Or you either hear the crowd, or you'll have one of your friends come up and they want to talk to you now.
Yeah.
It works for some people. Staying that chill works for some people, but I think for the majority of people, it's better to just keep the headphones on. I don't take them off until I step on the mat. Yeah. And usually, like in no-gi, I'll have sweatpants on and a hoodie on, and I put it on in between all my matches. And I don't take it off until literally right before I'm about to step on the mat.
Yeah.
So for me, that helps. So as soon as basically my music comes out, I'm stepping onto the mat. And usually I'll hit my feet before I step out there. And then a lot of people they always run to the ref, which that's just never been. I always make sure, like, I'm nice, calm, and I'm like, why? I'm not in a rush. And it's going to keep me calm. And it's just easier. I'll go out there nice and calm, walk to the ref, shake the hand. And I'm always just, as soon as I step out there, I'm still thinking of all the different things. Okay, we're going to stop, bump. I know this person already. I've seen them before. I've seen a previous match or whatever. Or certain people, if people jump before when they're warming up, they're probably going to jump guard. Yeah. If there's certain little antics that you can pretty well, for the most part, you get an idea of what they're going to do when you step out there. So for that, I'll be like, I know this person, or I've seen this. I think they're going to pull guard really fast. If I've decided I want to pull guard on this one, as soon as we slap hands, I got to be ready to sit. Yeah. Or I got to be ready to get grips and jump guard if that's what I want to do. So that's always like stepping out there, nice and calm. Music comes out right before I step on the mat. Calm walking out there. I know what I want to do. And before we even touch hands, while I'm shaking the ref's hand, as soon as I look at her, I know what I'm doing. And I'm already onto that. Instead of being, I don't know. I think a lot of people, you just think about other stuff, or you're worried about shaking her hand, and you don't even think about like what you're doing after that. And as soon as you guys touch hands, that's it. It's on. It's not touch hands and you got a couple seconds. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
You've touched hands, you're going. And I think it's also, this is something that helped me a lot, is not thinking about like, I want to take them down. I want to pass with this specific pass to the side. I want to do this specific submission, because it's super easy to get tunnel vision that way. And I struggle super bad with tunnel vision as it is. And so for me, like, going over the different scenarios that could happen beforehand has helped a lot with that. I don't get stuck so much in that tunnel vision, which helps when you're out there, because you're not sitting there, like, when you're sitting there trying to force something and it's not working, you get more nervous, which doesn't help. And usually I only have issues with that in my first match. Like, I still have nerves after that, but it's normal nerves. It's doable. If I didn't have that feeling now, I would get nervous about not having it, because I feel like my head's not in the zone. But it's usually that first match that's pretty bad for me. So once I can make it past that, I'm usually pretty good.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I always thought, like, as a high level competitor, which I've never been, but I just have you have an idea, don't you? You kind of have an idea they go through. And I always thought that kind of tunnel vision would help them. Like they would think, right, this is my game plan. I'm going to do this, 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 and then that's what I'm going to do. But you're right. If something doesn't go right in that scenario, then you're like, oh, something didn't go right then. And then you're already kind of on the back foot mentally before you've done anything else. So that could really affect your game as you progress. But yeah, that's really interesting.
Well, I was thinking like what you said there about, slap hands, right? Go. You want to do the thing that you want to do first up first. That I think is the most important thing. Like that's what when you see we go to competitions with the white belts, and there's a lot of this going on, and people aren't they basically don't know what they're going to do at all. So it's like, we'll go out there, see what happens, see what the other guy does, but the other guy doesn't know what he's going to do either. So I think the most important thing, because like Sam and I are going to give doing some competitions a go again whenever they're available to do. We're going to go back out, because I suffer with anxiety and nerves and things, and I did competitions a long time ago and hated it. Really didn't enjoy it at all. But I think that a lot of it is to do with your mindset and how you look at it and what you want to get from it. Because I'm also very competitive. I played competitive other sports before this, and you want to win. But now I'm kind of changing the way I'm thinking, and the experience of doing it be more important for my development and But the one thing I'm focused on is I know what I want to do. I want to be playing guard. So, and I'm a heavier guy, and so that's not the standards, So I need to get to guard as quick as possible. So as long as, in my head, it's as long as I can get to the position I'm more comfortable in to start with, as quick as possible, then whatever happens after that is kind of fine. I'm happy to play wherever we're going, but I need to be in the position, unless they're going to pull guard, then I'm happy with that too. But I don't want to be in any kind of wrestling match where I'm going to end up potentially getting thrown or underneath inside or something straight away. I want to be in my comfy spot. So that's the important thing, I think, because often you see people and they don't know even the first thing that they want to do. You can't predict what's going to happen in minute 3, 4, 5, whatever. But from the beginning, that's when you've got a bit of your control.
Yeah.
Start with, I think.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. It's if you're gonna go over a bunch of stuff, don't go over one thing. Go over, I pull guard, I get them in close guard. They let me hip off to the side so I can go for the omoplata. Or for this one, they posture straight up, so I need to break their posture down before I go for an arm bar or whatever it is. Instead of sitting, one thing I had, and I have this burned in my mind from a specific competition. I went out there and I was like, I'm gonna go out, and they're either gonna pull or I'm gonna take them down. And I had one if I pulled, but my thing went out, she pulled, and I was like, hey, I know exactly what I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna do this single under, and I'm gonna pass to the leg that I have. And she was sitting there pushing on my hip, and I'm sitting there trying to push back, and now looking back, I want to go smack my blue belt self. But there was a simple, I was sitting there trying to push through it when all I had to do was keep the leg and do a knee cut on the other side. Make it but I had this is what I was going to do. And I ended up going through whatever. I won the match, but still looking back, that's just just an example of super, super bad tunnel vision.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
yep.
I'm going to do this thing, and it doesn't matter that it's not working. I'm going to continue to do it, and it will work, and I'm going to keep pressing. And I think that happens to a lot of people a lot of the time. Because you can have roadmaps from things. If they do that, I do this. If this happens, this happens, this happens, that. But there's so many other variables. Oh, I didn't think they would have that grip when they were going to do that.
Yeah.
And that's and something. And you think, oh, well, and it can be a mess. So kind of having that rather than being very structured and restrictive on yourself where you think you're going, and just being kind of. That's why I'm thinking having something first up. Want to get your thing off first, because then after that you don't know what's going to happen, but at least you're 70% better than the other guy because of you're in the place you want to be, I suppose. But road mapping it so precisely, there's just too many variables to go wrong, I reckon.
Yeah, I would, yeah, I agree.
Apart from when you're doing your footlocks and stuff, you seem to have the roadmap to footlock seems to straight angle.
Yeah.
Correct. I guess that's an advantage of being short. Like if they've got longer legs, there's legs to grab hold of a lot of the time.
Yeah, they're always there, and especially a lot of people, they don't start training leg stuff until they hit like brown.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, it's starting to change a little bit more now, but it's super common. I'll ask, oh, when do you do footlocks? And like, they didn't start training them till like brown, maybe purple. Some of them even black belt. They still haven't even started training footlocks. And like, if you don't want to do footlocks, that's fine, but you should at least know how to defend them. At the very least, know how to defend them. Because like, I'm not a darce person. I'm never gonna do. I don't like darces. I just don't like them. I have short little arms, and even if I could do them, I just don't like them. But I still need to know how to defend a darce.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna play it. And to me, that's the same thing with footlocks. I'm like, well, I just don't like them. Well, you can not like them, but you should still know how to defend them.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of it, which is I'm shorter, and then a lot of people just don't train them, which just make footlocks that much easier for me to do.
Yeah. That's what Dean was saying the other day.
Yeah, it was.
Exactly that. We were talking about, when he hitting these leg locks on everyone, and he's like, well, like I just finding loopholes. Loopholes where people are weaker and they're not training them. So I train that. But you can't ignore it. Like you just can't, because otherwise someone like me will come along and do all that, and then guys don't know what to do. It's so true.
It's a funny mentality though, isn't it? Like I mean, when I first started about 10 years ago, like footlocks were, and I was saying this to Dean as well, like they were like almost not done. Like when people did them, I remember like I got like toe holded once when I was a white belt, and the guy apologized to me afterwards. It was like, oh, sorry. And I was like, don't be sorry, it's fine. Like I've got to learn this stuff. Like just like you were saying, I knew you have to experience it, because you need to learn how to, even if you're not going to use it, you need to learn how to defend it. So I'd rather know early on than get to brown belt or purple belt and not know how to defend it or what's happening. So it's just funny, isn't it, how it's like all of a sudden changed. Like I'm not like, people just don't at white belt, they're like, or they don't want to experience it or do it.
It feels like that though. I think it still feels like it's like in our gym we've got a few guys that are like super good with leg locks, like really good, and like Sammy was at blue belt. His leg locks were just unbelievable because he focused a huge amount on that area, and and he would tap much higher grades all the time because we tend to roll like. Yeah, might not be knee barring white belts like all the time, but if one's getting quite good, you might. But we're pretty much going to roll with all the leg locks at all the grades, and everything is going to happen. Bar heel hooks in the gi, but heel hooks in no gi as well. And so some of the guys, blue, purple belts are really, really, really good at them, like better, like black belts in leg locks, that kind of thing. And still, like, I mean, I find some of them harder to do. And some I just can't seem to get right, but keep trying. But then when I try and do stuff for some people, there's just no point. I'm just, it's not 50-50 with Sammy Sausage, it's 99-1.
Yeah, that's the one thing with footlocks. They're super, super, super detail oriented. Whereas like with a lot of stuff, like an arm bar, like, there are details in there, but for the most part, like a white belt can do an arm bar pretty well.
Yeah.
Not like obviously perfect, but they can make it work.
Yeah.
With a lot of footlocks, there's so much stuff that like, unless you're a super like insanely strong guy, you're just gonna break my leg just from grabbing it. Like there's so many details in there, and a lot of people, I've been surprised how many little details. It's stuff that I was like, and obviously it's not just me, like anybody who's good at leg locks, but stuff that I was like, oh, like this is just normal stuff. It's kind of like what you do with an arm bar. Like it's just that basic to me that I was like. Not that leg locks in general are that basic, but just little details. And I was teaching at a gym, and I was going through, and I was like, oh, dude, I got to bring everybody back in because we got to start from like stuff that I didn't even think I had to go over. And so I'm sitting, and it probably took me 10 minutes to sit there because I have to talk through it, which doesn't sound like a lot, but usually I'm able to get through stuff pretty fast while still giving all the details and it working pretty well.
Yeah.
That I had to sit there and like explaining little details before even doing the movement. Just explaining details how to get into the position and then little things. And I was like, this is not like, I know, like when I first started training, I was told like, you do leg locks or I'm going to throw my shoe at you. Like, you know, that's what they do to leg lockers. You're a dirty leg locker. And I'm like 12 and 13 and I'm like, I'm going to leg lock you still.
Yeah.
I'm competing with the adults in this state tournament and they're doing leg locks because I'm competing in the other division. So I'll throw the shoe back at you. And like, just like, so it's come a long way. And it seems all of a sudden, just in the last couple years, as far as like overall jiu-jitsu, it's really changed from being like, you're a dirty leg locker and I don't care what you've won. If you won with leg locks, no one likes you. So all like it's changed a lot that people actually want to train them and want to learn them, and it's actually respected. And it just seems like in the last like 4 or 5 years, maybe it's changed to that. Maybe not even 5 years, maybe like 4 years.
Yeah,
it's changed a lot. Yeah.
It's good though. It's great. It opens up a whole nother game, doesn't it? And there's a lot more options now. I mean,
one of the most amazing things that like some of the positions though, like saddle, I've been, you know, reverse X saddle to these kind of things. That's like, oh, you know, and you start sort of going, well, but I've been doing this kind of guard here for ages, and why have I not been, you know? And then you kind of just, you know, like, I'm one of those where it's not obvious to me. I need to be like, sure, you know, you can do this. Oh, can I? Okay. And then you go away and practice for a few months, like, but, and until the next thing kind of, but to me, it's like some of these positions are these getting tight with the leg lock positions, even just as positions, like are super effective and useful in anything. So it's just necessity now. I think it's just, I don't know that there's the depth of knowledge, because anyone that seems to get really deep into it almost kind of not necessarily specializes, but as you know, there are not that many people around who are like super good that are teaching all this stuff. I haven't seen, like, certainly where we are, there's not tons and tons. There's a few of them get together in a small group on the open mat and they'll go through stuff and you like look over like,
what are they
that looks suspicious. What's happening?
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with that. It seems like a lot of people, even if they do leg locks, they miss a lot of, even if they do the details, they don't even realize how, like, just your basic straight ankle lock. When I was first taught it, they're like, oh, you just like grab it down towards the foot and then lean back. That is so incorrect. That is so incorrect. There's so many, like, between like rolling your elbows forward so that then you can bring your hands high to pinch everything back, to making sure that you hug your elbow so that the foot doesn't rotate, and like just so many tiny little details that aren't common knowledge. Like with a lot of things, they're more common knowledge, but I think on the flip side, you also get people who go, well, I see other people want footlocks, I'm only going to do footlocks. That's like sitting there and being like, I'm only going to armbar people. Like that just, you should work other parts of your game. Like that's just as bad as only working on the upper body, or except worse because you've only got 4 submissions from there. And like there are different ones within that, but you got 4 main submissions and that's it. And so I think it's, you find that hard break. I think that it's hard to find that balance in between like training them enough, because people almost view like footlocks and upper body stuff as like they're two completely different things. And I'm like, it's all jiu-jitsu. Just train all of it. Like if you needed to specifically work on your armbar, you would specifically work on your armbar, but you're not going to specifically work on your armbar for 4 years.
It's like
you would work.
People go, oh, he's a leg locker, or he's a top player.
You walk out and go, but he choked me. That's not fair.
You're
supposed to go for my feet.
You're spot on with that. I think you're exactly right. People look at, they're either attacking that side or they're doing that side. Right? Where's the whole game? It's amazing.
Do you find that helps in competition as well, that people might be more wary of your skill, you know, with the legs and feet, and so they might give things up by like specifically trying to hide things from you, or play a different, they'll play a different game than they might do because they're fighting you.
I think so a lot, especially this. I noticed it a lot at Nogi Worlds. I noticed it before some, but not as much. This last Nogi Worlds, before I went, I really wanted a knee bar and toe hold.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone, but I wanted to get some knee bars and toe holds.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get any because all of them seemed to be so hesitant. I got a number of straight ankle locks, but they seemed to be so hesitant about the way that they were moving their knees and feet that it gave me the straight ankle lock. But it definitely, I noticed it going out there, they already had in their head, I'm not getting knee barred or toe fold because that's what she's going to go for. They are like certain things. And I definitely found that, especially with a way that I would set up my arm bars, that people would stop giving me that reaction. And so I had to start changing things, which is fine with me. And it leaves other things open. So, but I have noticed that a lot.
Yeah.
That whether it's foot stuff or upper body stuff, I've noticed if I hit it at a number of competitions in a row, that I'll hit one and they know what I'm going to do. Like I quit having to jump guard because people won't let me close anymore.
Right.
So I sit guard, which I don't mind, but I went for like probably over a year or almost a year being able to just jump guard. Not easy, but relatively easy.
Yeah.
And I hit one competition and I was like, oh, you've seen me compete before. This isn't going to work. I got to do something else. Which then I switched to my straight ankle lock, which I started doing a lot off of that. But yeah, people definitely go in and will know I want to do certain things and defend it. And it leaves other stuff open though.
That's right. Yeah. Like it almost plays to your advantage a little bit because they're so worried about one thing that potentially leaves options open for you to do other stuff like straight ankle locks.
That's
it. Exactly.
One of the goals could be so good at a specific thing, you may never hit it again in competition, but you're going to get given so much other stuff because they'll just like eliminate certain areas of their game because they just won't go into it.
Yeah, completely. I was never an armbar person, but I always got arm bars in competitions, and I could never figure it out for the longest time. And I was like, dude, why am I hitting all these arm bars? I don't even like arm bars. They keep giving me arm bars and I keep hitting them, and I don't like arm bars. And it was just the reaction that they were giving me, which people in training, because they train with me every day, I guess I was going for it and didn't even realize it, that I was hitting it in competition. But it took me probably 6 months. I was like, I don't get this, and I don't want it. But I was like, I'm not going to let it go, but I don't want that. I want something cooler. Who's excited when you're like, yeah, I won that match with an arm bar? They're like, oh yeah, an arm bar. He's so basic. Like, nobody gets excited about that.
Is that why you wanted the knee bars and toe holds at the brown belt? Yeah, straight away, straight in. It
was. I was like, I'm brown belt. I need to hit these. I can finally do them. And I went there and I didn't hit a single one. And I was like, you know what? Whatever, I won. I don't care.
Do you think that people think maybe the straight ankle, like at your at that level they don't think they're going to get tapped to a straight ankle, and then so they're more worried about the toe hold and the knee bars that you were looking for, and then you just go, all right, fine, well actually I'm really good at this, so I'm just going to do this. Oh, they're tapping.
I definitely think so, especially like straight ankle locks are legal at white belt.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about, oh, you only get leg locks until brown belt. Straight ankle locks are legal as a white belt. So it's like that right there just tells you how much a straight ankle lock is overlooked.
Yeah.
In general, nobody talks about the straight ankle lock as a foot lock because you get foot locks at brown belt. White belts get straight ankle locks. I've even had some people and they're like, oh, you can't foot lock. You can't do a foot lock. And I'm like, no. This is a straight ankle lock. This is 100% legal for me. I can do this to any of you guys that are adults.
Yeah.
I can't do it to the kids, but I can do it to any of you guys that are adults.
They go, really? Oh.
Yeah.
So what's coming up for you in the future then? What's your plans, especially during this coronavirus crisis?
Well, I'm headed to Texas to go train
Yeah.
for a couple weeks, and then from there I'm headed over to Arizona for I don't know how long. I'm probably moving.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be in Arizona, which will make everything so much easier because I'm closer to everything.
Okay.
I don't know obviously when the competitions are gonna open back up,
No,
but whenever any of them open back up, any of the big ones, honestly, probably any of the small ones too, I'll probably be back out there competing. I've been applying to the Fight to Wins, so hopefully I can get on one of those.
Yeah.
I'm ready to be back competing as soon as I can. So
yeah,
trying to move right now and then get back on competition.
Oh man, it'd be great to see you on Fight to Win.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So what's the application process like then?
You just go on there and they'll have a link and it'll ask like name, where you live, weight, belt, just basic stuff like that, whether you would prefer gi or no gi, and then you just fill it out and he sends you an email whether you got on or not. So.
Oh, I see. Oh man, I hope you get it.
Hassle Seth Daniels, go around his house and hassle him.
I don't think Seth likes me a lot. I've been applying and he just haven't been on yet.
Seth, sort it out. I know you'll be watching this, Seth. Sort it out, man.
And then more hopefully going towards ADCC.
Yes, that one is the one, and I'm gonna try and stay healthy. This last ADCC trials that back in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
I had a full AC separation and shoulder dislocation about 3 or 4 weeks before, because I did it a week before Euros, and then I did it again at Euros competing. So I'm trying to go into this one healthy. That has it was funny thinking about it. I was like, dude, the first time I qualified, I was 16 in a blue belt, and the next time I go, I'll probably be a black belt. Like that's just crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, it seems there's lots of people come up with the IBJJF restrictions on time at belt and things like that. Like Micah Galbao and these guys, and Rutolos and stuff. And you look at them and you look at them and you're like, these guys have been black belt level for ages.
Yeah.
And then to say, oh well, you haven't done enough time at blue belt. It's like these guys,
you're not old enough.
Yeah, not old enough.
He just fought Wagner Rocha. I think he's going to be all right. But, it's really confusing. But and this may be cynical, but I just think a lot of it comes down to the money and continual competing. They want you to do all of the stuff every grade for like 2 years or whatever, and it's too long, and obviously too long in a lot of the cases. So you guys like the proper high level athletes, the rank is just, it's irrelevant really. It's just what the competition looks like as you're going in and where you should be fighting, and and what level of your career you're at really. I mean, the rest of it's kind of it's inconsequential. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I would agree, especially going through and like having to stay at a certain belt for so long, or having it, or even like if you get promoted to purple and you're not an adult, you're not going to get to compete against anybody. Yeah. There's nobody there.
So what's the point?
Exactly. So you go through that, but then on the other side of it, you have people that I've been called a sandbagger from blue belt all the way. I haven't been called it yet at a brown belt, but I've only competed once as a brown belt.
Yeah, give it a bit of time, and then
and won double gold at the World No-Gis. So
yeah, exactly. Like, so like you got both sides. So it's if you go out there and you don't win, and everybody loses. That's just how it is.
Mm-hmm.
As much as little 12-year-old me would hate to hear that, everybody loses. It happens. If you go and lose, you get told you're promoted too early. But if you go there and you beat everyone, well, now you're a sandbagger. And I'm like, well, somebody has to win. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
They want you to be just in the middle the whole time.
Yeah.
It's so funny though, isn't it? I don't really get it, because like for mere mortals, like me, like a hobbyist, as you'd say, I try and train as much as I can and get better and everything. But I'm not an athlete or anything like that. But when you watch the guy, I just find it such because you don't have that in football, like, or whatever. Like, oh, what, you're only or like soccer over here. So oh, you're only 16. Well, you can't play in the first team. It's like, no, we get them out. Get them out there.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
If you're good enough, you're good enough. That's it. Like, it just doesn't matter. Well, you can't do that until you finish this bit. It's like, no, move them there. Get them in the big boys.
Especially doing gymnastics, it's so weird for me because like 21, 22, you're old, you're done. That's why for me, they're like you got like 14, 15, 16-year-olds going to the Olympics. Like, that's the normal age. That's not even like, oh, you're so young. Like, that's pretty normal. So then going into this, and they're like, oh, you're too young to do that. And I'm like, well, I want to compete in the adult division. They're like, are you sure? You're kind of young. And I'm like, yeah, I want to do it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Worst case, I lose.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not. I'm 14. Does it really matter if I win or lose? Not really. Nobody cares. I'm still a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're gonna lose. You sure you want to go to? Yeah, I want to go do it. Go out there and win. And they're like, it's fluke. It's luck. Okay.
Yeah.
You're too young. You're too young to do anything like that. I'm like, but I just okay, that's fine. You win.
Just done it. Just so you just keep doing it, I guess. You keep going, and then oh, you're sandbagging. You should have been promoted to this, that, the other. Yeah.
My response, I'm like, I don't promote myself. So you wanna go talk to that person? You can go talk to them. I don't promote myself though.
Yeah.
You see some of the videos where people have promoted themselves.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? I mean.
Oh man.
So we've got to look out for you. We've got to look out for you on Fight to Win. Hopefully, that'd be good. And any other like promotions that you'd be keen to get involved with?
Honestly, I'm pretty well good with anyone as long as I have a good opponent and they're paying me to be there. I'm good to compete anywhere. There are a number of them that I'd love to be on. I don't know if a lot of it's where I live that it's hard to get me down there because I've been approached by a number of them, but none of them really seem to follow through so much. And I get it. I live in Alaska, and I don't think a lot of people realize you can get a ticket for like $150 from here to Phoenix.
Right.
It's not awful. Yeah, it's not awful, but you hear Alaska, you think, oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
There's no way. So honestly, I'm hoping that I'll get hit up by pretty much any promotion as long as they give me a good opponent and they'll pay me to be there.
Come on, promotions.
It's gonna be pretty hard to. You're making it pretty hard to be ignored by, people start saying, well, like, we should be seeing Liz on these, that'll be good, or that'll be a good match. The more it goes on, it's not going to last forever. That it's irrelevant where you are. You keep winning, you keep doing this stuff and subbing people like you. It's just it will, like you say, it will happen. It'd be nice if you got the opportunity to do it at earlier grades with different people, but you'll get there. I think, especially because the Arizona may be a permanent move then, or just for a while. So you'll be in another location where people might see that as like an advantage, and
exactly
that plays a part in people's minds, I guess.
Yeah.
That is a big goal with me moving there, is getting more fights on promotions and then hopefully teaching a lot more seminars. So and I'll be closer and kind of just be in everyone's face more because I'll be around it stuff more. And that's the goal. And with the promotion stuff, I just got to tell myself, like, just don't get frustrated with it. It'll happen when it happens. And I've always liked being the underdog. So honestly, I would rather be the one that everyone's kind of ignoring, and then I just go up there and win everything, than be the one that everybody's sitting there looking at, because honestly, that sucks. Having all the eyes on you, it's no fun. It's way more fun coming up there when everyone's like, you're brand new at this, you're whatever, and then going and winning. Because if you lose, you were supposed to lose. If you win, you won.
Yeah.
So that's how I have to look at it.
You pretty much won everything that you've entered. Like, so you do, but you would consider getting a third place as losing. Like, so you pretty much, have gone through everything in the last couple of 3 years. So I think think it's going to take that long for any of that stuff to happen anyway. But you seminars? Any? Have you been to the UK before?
I haven't.
Oh,
I would love to be over there though.
Well, over in the UK, we love a seminar, and we love we love anyone that comes over here. There's some really good guys, you know, that live over here as well, you know, and stuff. But there's lots and lots of great stuff. I mean, we went to Adam Wardzinski seminar last 2 years ago. I think that was brilliant, and like there's some really nice tours that people do. So if you ever fancy the UK, I'm sure that there's people over here that can help set you up with doing some stuff for sure.
Some footlock
That'll
seminars.
be something I have to do.
I'll be there.
Yeah, footlock seminars.
Well, that's the goal now.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, and Euros though next year, if Euros is on, will you be over to Europe?
Yeah, I will be over there. I didn't go this last year because it just didn't end up working out. But Euros this next year, if they have it, I should be there.
Amazing.
Especially, hopefully, I'm hoping that'll be my first black belt gi competition.
Oh, that'd be cool.
We might see you out there. We might be there. Where can people find you? Socials, hit you up, say hi, or follow you?
The best place to find me is on Instagram, and it's just Elisabeth Clay BJJ, and it's Elizabeth with an S, not a Z.
S, not a Z. Everyone, remember. All right.
Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Us.
Us.